So getting back to Steve because he's in a lot. I think with Steve, it's gonna if he's like Edge, maybe time and technology or whatever, his neck is healed. But Steve was hurt real bad. So to go out there and do what he did with
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens was fantastic and a lot more than they anticipated. But for Steve to put on the tights and go out there and wrestle as Stone Cold, he'll take a lot of pride in himself because he's a man's man, and he is in great. He always stays in good shape. Steve does so. Um, but he'd want to go out there, and he doesn't look that much different than he did when he was. I mean, his body is still great. He looks good, but he'll want to be knowing his ego and knowing who he is. He'll want to be Stone Cold. You know what I mean? And if he wrestles CM Punk, he needs to beat him in 30 seconds.
Oh,
So that's not the answer.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
in 30 seconds. Stone Cold Steve Austin, CM Punk. Come on, give me a break. Can't even mention their name in the same breath. Please. The Rock and him, I don't know. They could look at each other and it'd be just a question of who's doing the favor. Because they're not going to wrestle for an hour. John Cena, I like that idea too. But, it's like we talk about with The Rock. The decision was made sooner than we know about it because if Steve's getting ready to wrestle a real match, real time in LA, it's going to be damn good.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, come on. I don't mean this bad, but CM Punk just can't, act like he acts in one company and go to the other and act like that and come over and expect to be in a main event. If he was in a main event at WrestleMania, you'd have a riot in the locker room. Think about it. He didn't leave on good terms. He's not leaving the other place on good terms. And they're rolling with Steve. I mean, it's not about his ability. I'm just talking about that. I can't fathom the WWE even entertaining bringing a guy in that would be putting him ahead of Styles, Orton. I mean, you could have Steve wrestle either one of those guys. If Steve can work, if his neck's okay, Steve is a working fool.
Oh, for sure.
He could wrestle Randy. I mean, you'd have guys jumping off the roof that brought Punk in there, threw him in the main event of WrestleMania. Don't you agree?
Listen,
Am I going to run First Family Mortgage tomorrow?
I,
Am I?
I don't think you are.
Would all the employees commit suicide if you gave me that position?
Well, hang on now. Hang on now.
I'm asking the question. If
I'm
said,
asking you a
okay,
question.
my son-in-law, Ric Flair, who's dumber than shit, knows nothing, can hardly turn the phone on. He's going to start running the company, guys, to do everything he tells you to do. And you walked out the door and said, I'm going on a safari in Africa with Megan. I'll be back in a month.
Well, help me understand. If that's really the way you feel, why are you behind Jeff Saturday getting a head coaching job?
Because he was 6 times All-Pro.
Well, what does that matter about coaching?
Because he's a hell of a player. Number one, being a 6-time All-Pro, having a Super Bowl ring, is not a guy that's not accomplished anything. Like Marcus Spears, he had 200. I Googled him because he was cracking on Saturday. I Googled him. He's got 10 sacks and 236 tackles. He ain't All-Pro.
Just hypothetically, how was Nick Saban's pro career?
Nick Saban's pro career? I don't know.
Exactly.
I guess he did very well with the Dolphins, right?
Being a good player doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to translate to being a great coach. And I just think it's interesting that you love the Saturday thing, but you hate the idea of somebody coming in and jumping into a main event. And I would argue,
no. But you're not. Saturday didn't leave the Colts on bad terms.
What does leaving on bad terms have to do with anything?
It's because Punk left WWE on bad terms.
How many guys have left WWE on bad terms and came back into a big spot? All of them, including Cody. Just saying.
Like, yeah. But okay. Here's the deal. Cody didn't sue the company. I mean, there's bad terms and bad terms.
Well, I'm not arguing that. Technically, WWE sued Punk, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's a little different. Cody left, and there was a hard feelings because he couldn't have his last name. I know the whole history of that deal.
Right.
Okay, but they still celebrate Dusty. They respect the shit out of Dusty.
Well, I mean, clearly
Hey,
that
Cole Cabana walked up to me the other day. I never met Cole Cabana in my life. I'm at a
he's a
signing
nice
for
guy. Yeah.
Fitterman, right?
Yeah.
And Cole Cabana came over and wanted my autograph. And I didn't know who he was. I've never met him, right?
Right.
And the guy goes, "This is Cole Cabana." I said, "Oh, man, good." I stood up and shook his hand. I said, "What's going on with you and Punk?" He said, it's a long story. so, so Punk's got more long stories with people than I do. I don't know.
He was, you go back 10 years,
He-
10,
He's a
11.
nice kid, by the way.
Who, Cole Cabana?
Yeah,
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. He's the
really nice kid.
OG of
Hey, he's a
podcasting.
good worker.
Yeah. The Punk thing though, I mean, he was the top guy for the company besides John Cena in 11 and 12. And I mean, you could argue other years too, but man, those 2 or 3 years, 11, 12, 13, man, it felt like it was really Punk's show. And there was a whole lot of
Is it ahead of
fans.
John Cena?
No, it was him and John Cena were the 2 top stars in the whole company.
Okay.
But
Did
the
they ever work?
idea, oh, he can work, yeah, and he's great promo. And I just,
No. Did
I
they ever work?
no. Oh, yeah. Cena, I thought you meant Austin. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had some of the most legendary WWE matches ever. Money in the Bank 2011, people still talk about. The crowd was
Oh,
just on fire.
Cena and Punk?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't aware of that. So,
So it was just, I mean, he
well,
was hotter
I
than
knew he was a top guy. I'm taking nothing away from his skill. His interviews are great. I was merely talking about the fact that well, finish your story. Go ahead.
here's my point. I appreciate when you said, "Hey man, the locker room and he's going to come out of nowhere and he's going to be in the main event." I mean this totally respectfully. But WWE kind of had Kevin Owens on an island for 5 years. Great talent, great promo, great matches, one of my favorites. And then out of nowhere, he's in the main event with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, and they tore it down. Fantastic job. I knew
Yeah, I
it would
saw it.
be. Owens is great. However, he was kind of out of left field to be an opponent, in my opinion, based on the way WWE had been presenting him. But when
I,
you go back to the promotion of the big WWE 2K game, which maybe you were familiar with at the time, they had a big sit down with Punk and Austin and JR in the middle, and it was a hypothetical. What would happen if Punk could walk into the Attitude Era or Austin could walk onto the set of Monday Night Raw tonight? And what would that look like? And boy, fans were chomping at the bit of that hypothetical match 10 years ago, which is why I think it pops up now that wait, Punk's coming or Punk's out maybe on the AEW side and Austin's coming back. What if? And I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I might go with the
well,
John
see,
Cena
but
thing.
you're educating me now.
Okay.
You're educating me. How old is Steve now?
Let's look that up. I did look a minute ago. He finished his career, his WrestleMania match with Rock back in the day.
Yep,
He was only 38 years old. So you were
38.
exactly
Okay,
right.
I said 39. So
He's
I'm
57 now. He'll be 58 by then. He's going to have a birthday next month. So he'll be 58 years old, AKA the same age you were, I think, when you wrestled Shawn Michaels.
59. I was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he's, I know that Sting's now the thing we all compare everybody to, just because he's still going at such a high rate, but he's 63 right now. So
Mhm.
Steve coming back, he's still younger than Sting.
Yep.
So who would you put him with? Would you go with Austin Cena? Something else? Austin Rock? A current guy?
Well, first, I mean, Austin Rock would be huge. Here's anybody Steve Russell would be huge.
Yes, correct.
Okay, but I didn't realize. You're once again. That's why I like we catch up like we're talking on the phone. I didn't realize they had done that, and this has nothing to do with Punk's work. It was just saying because of my understanding of how he left
The
WWE
company. Yeah.
and my understanding of how he's leaving, which I heard a lot
AEW.
about this weekend at that signing, how he's leaving AEW.
Well, hey, you
So
got some scoops for us?
no, I mean, I guess they're just trying to figure out a way to buy out his contract. He's not coming back. And I'm just told this by AEW people.